Is Johnny Jackson qualified for the Olympics?
No, Johnny Jackson's not qualified because we have yet to see him even compete this year. Durham's not qualified. Tarek's not qualified.
Yeah, and that's
Will Harris is not qualified.
And that's a great point. So really what this means is that with only 2 guys qualified, it's going to be top 3, and that's it. So only one guy is going to come away with a qualification here.
That's right. Unless something really weird goes on in that judging panel, I don't see that happening. But, you're not going to get a 4. Like I say, there's going to be some very good bodybuilders in this lineup. The guy who's in 4th, 5th, and 6th place who are not going to get a bump.
I think Johnny Jackson's qualified for the Olympics. Didn't he do the Ironman early this year? He did the Ironman earlier this year.
Ironman was top 5.
And
That's
he finished
right.
5th. And he finished
That's right.
Johnny
so
Jackson is qualified.
if and only if Johnny Jackson is in the top 3, and that's going to be questionable because Johnny Jackson is not 100%. Only if he's in the top 3 will we get a 4th place bump.
So if you're a guy like Durham Charles, you're hoping Johnny's in 3rd and not Will Harris.
You're rooting Johnny on big time. You're helping him back with his oil. You're getting him some carbs. You're basically doing anything you can to get this guy into that lineup, other than yourself, of course, because if you make the top 3, you're in automatically. And you're seeing some quarter turns here from head judge Jim Raquel with these guys. And, again, he's going to bring these guys out in groups. Now, look at it right there, Dan. Here's the X-Man, Tony Freeman. And you look down the line, and now all of a sudden you see some 202 guys who all of a sudden look a whole lot smaller when they're standing next to the X-Man. And you see what I mean? There's Mark Dugdale way on the end down there, and you can see, again, a very, very good bodybuilder, Dan. He doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses. He's good conditioning. Again, he's put together well. He's got great symmetry, great proportion. Everything is there. The question is like I say, does he have anything outstanding enough to bump him up? And it's going to be really interesting to see if him getting basically relegated down into the 4th call-out last week helps him out this week.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the fact that he wasn't really given the opportunity to compete last week might actually bode well for him because we've seen that trend where from one week to the next there'll be that carryover. And I wouldn't be surprised if at the very minimum Jim Raquel and his judges give Dugdale the opportunity to compete. Now, what he does with that opportunity is a whole nother story.
Well, one thing that can help or hurt you is what lineup you end up in. And that's purely just a numbers game. In this particular lineup, here's Mark Dugdale, but guess what? He's got Johnny Jackson, he's got Tony Freeman, he's got Will Harris in there. When you got, 3 or 4 of the eventual top 5 or 6 guys, it's tough to get noticed out of that group. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw, Dan, but you need to be in the group that you basically get recognized and you get noticed. In this particular case, it's so deep that being in either group isn't really helping you out too much. You just got to go out there and fight.
Side tricep.
You can see Eric Fankhauser getting his welcome to the IFBB, as these guys are not used to the round system, and it's a whole different world than the NPC where you get to go out, kind of do your one rotation, and you're pretty much done. You got to come out 2, 3, even 4 times in this format, and the IFBB has a history of kind of working rookies a little bit tougher. Again, it's kind of an initiation thing, Dan. It's like being in a frat.
Well, for a guy like Eric, he's just thrilled to have the opportunity to showcase his physique. And just so you all know at home, there is no rhyme or reason to these call-outs. They're just bringing them out numerically, giving them a chance to be compared for the first time. We will not see the first, I guess you could say, judges requested call-out. We're not going to see that for a few more minutes because there's a lot of athletes for these guys to get through.
Yeah, and this is the only really good, fair way to do this is to give these guys an opportunity to get themselves a look out there in front of the judges, let them warm up a little bit, let them get some blood going. Because don't forget, Dan, there's so many competitors. By the time, the first guy gets to go back out, 45 minutes